You mentioned obviously with the age it'll change, but I'm just curious. What about a female biology? Is there a difference between female and males in terms of obviously males having more steadier hormones and girls
Hmm.
going a bit more variable? Like,
Yep.
what
Right.
what what should females or girls kind of look out for? Is it the same or is it a bit
Yeah.
different?
Yeah. No, it's actually very different. And the reason, excuse me, the reason it's very different is because of 28-day cycles. So what we see actually is that individuals, females, during their menstruation period will actually have a significant drop in HRV because menstruation is a significant stressor on the body. And then there's a lot of hormonal changes that lead to psychological stress during that period of time as well. So I've had a lot of my female clients who will ask me, so like, why is my HRV dropping by like 20 or 30 points or like a huge percentage, sometimes as much as 30, 40, 50%. And a lot of times I'll ask them, I'm like, I mean, it can be an awkward question sometimes, but I'm like, basically, is it that time of the month? Is it menstruation time? And almost always they're like, yeah, it is. And then I have to explain, okay, we have a cascade of hormonal changes that are occurring right now alongside a lot of biochemical changes and heart rate changes and cardiovascular changes. And because of that, it will cause a significant drop for many women. Now, what's great is that it's very acute, it's very transient. We see that once they get past their menstruation cycle period of time, then it will go back up. And a lot of times, it's also too, it's pre-menstruation as well. So premenstrual kind of fluctuations in HRV, and then when they're actually on their in the midst of their menstrual cycle, then we'll see HRV isn't significantly different from their baseline. So it just depends on the female, but it is very different. So you have to watch out for that. And I get that question all the time by women.
And what about on the other side when ovulating? Is it going to start spiking up, or is it generally spike up? Or again, I know it's individual, but what I'm thinking is, I guess a lot of girls tend to follow guys' programs, and a lot of PTs, male PTs, tend to train the same way they train them. But like, there's got to be I don't want to use biohacking, but like knowing the cycle. And I feel like there's got to be, obviously, don't train as hard when you're about, when it's that time of month because you drop. But is there a spike or is there a window of opportunity to train maybe a bit harder to make most of hormonal changes and a higher HRV? Or am I way
Yeah.
off?
So it's a good question. When I see it dip typically in HRV, what I see it kind of typically just getting back up to baseline. I don't see kind of like this extreme, fluctuation in an upward direction. I'd have to look more into the research of that. A lot of the women that train with me and do HRV training, they're just happy to get, through a menstruation cycle and get their HRV back up to baseline. But, one of the big things that you have to kind of track too is you kind of have to look at it. So if you're saying it again, if you're using like an Aura ring or something that's going to kind of just give you like a one-time, a day type of rating, it's not giving you like constant feedback like many of the devices that I use. It's a little bit harder to tell because I don't have enough data points. But it'll be interesting to kind of look at that more to see if there's any more or less kind of like a increased fluctuation or spike there.
It'd be interesting to see if there's a study or how many injuries females athletes or female have been injured during their periods. Like if there's any
Yeah.
correlation.
Oh, I would be shocked if there isn't one out there. There probably is, and I would be shocked too if we didn't see an increased means of injury there. It would just make total sense because again, HRV is like one of the best windows that we have into recovery. And so if it's low, and especially if these women are like doing a lot of metabolic conditioning, so if they're doing like a lot of like CrossFit workouts, and it's very glycolytically demanding, it's just very demanding period on the body. And I didn't mean to use the word period while we're talking about the period. But it's one of those things that I think I would be surprised if it didn't, just on an HRV level.
Yeah, because a lot of girls wouldn't even know about this, and that's why I'm stoked to have you on. It's like just kind of came to me. That's cool.
Yeah.